Start the camera. I don't think they want to see what kind of.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, sir.
We'll learn. Yeah, that changes.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Your room shrank.
Yeah, we have another program going in our meeting room, and then we have a
Oh,
meeting in our genealogy room, and so we're in this room today.
okay. Not enough room for dancing, I guess.
So, not this time. Yeah.
So our meeting order, and we have one change that we need to make because, this is supposed to be Vanessa's name, instead of Sarah Williams' name on the list. And, we called it, and Jamie fixed it just a minute ago.
Great. So,
Are there any other?
any other changes?
Any other changes? Is Shirley coming? Jefferson?
I sent her an email, but she didn't say if she was coming or not. Let me make sure, because I'll be sending people emails and they not in. Make sure. There you-
Renita, this is Megan. I'm here. Just in case you need,
Yes, thank you.
okay.
Before it gets to make all the decisions. Shame on the rest of them.
Right, I guess it's your turn. Who's J.A.?
Val Austin.
Oh, okay. This one dude. Not this one, right here. Hang on. Yeah, let's go get her. Okay. Here she comes. I'm not from the tail.
Changes we have made, I make a motion, we accept the minutes as written. Aye. Right now, we're gonna turn it over to Justin.
We turn over to y'all.
All righty.
All right. Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Trip, if you'd like to start,
Sure.
feel free.
All right. Well, thank you guys once again for meeting us again tonight to kind of talk about the next step in the evolution of the new Clinton Library. And I think tonight what we wanted to talk to you guys about, if y'all had a chance to review the VE packages that were sent over, I think that's what we're hoping to do tonight is really just sort of get kind of a buy-in from you guys, or if y'all had any questions or comments about what we've changed, and kind of go from there and just kind of hear feedback from you. And then I can kind of turn it over to Justin if he wants to pull everything up, and we can talk about it if y'all have specific questions.
Sounds great. Yeah, we had a really nice meeting with Renita and Carl the other day. So we're going to review a lot of those same elements and slides. And Renita, Carl, let me know if there's anything that we mentioned the first time that we don't mention the second time. Would you mind enabling screen sharing?
One thing I need to probably make y'all aware of, one of our library board members passed away August the 20th, Annette Crawford.
Sorry to hear.
Sorry to hear that.
We were too, very surprised.
Okay, so here we're going to go through the design. So just as a little bit of review, we presented the schematic design a little over a month ago, and then we had it costed, and the price came back higher than we had expected. So we decided that we would go in and we met with the design team, we met with the engineers, and we all came up with different ideas of how we could reduce the cost with the least impact visually or to the floor plan, to the site plan. I think we came up with some really good creative ideas to modify the design. And I hope you feel the same way that we all felt when we got through this exercise, that the impact is not very significant. The heart of the design is still very much intact. So I'll jump right into things here. So the site plan itself is very similar to what was there before. There's a few minor differences. There's one tree that's been removed. The amount of hardscape has been reduced. So there's more green, which can be seen as a benefit, but it's also less expensive. And we're using different finishes for the exterior, as far as you may or may not have noticed, but we were using a stamped concrete before, which is, it's meant to emulate a laid stone, or almost like a cobblestone effect sometimes, or a brick effect, and where it's just a little bit more labor intensive. So we've changed to a more traditional score lines and expansion joint lines in the concrete sidewalk, which will still look really nice. And we'll be able to work with the joint pattern so it really matches some of the angles in the sidewalks that we're creating and feel integrated. There still has the same amount of parking spaces, so none of that has been reduced, and we still are keeping the drive-through, so that's still very much intact. But one of the other differences which you might notice, which is more subtle, is that there were curves around both the exterior walls and the roof edges and the previous design, but we found some good cost savings if we removed those curves. I jump to the next page here. So this is the floor plan, and you'll notice these dots on the exterior. There are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots on the front and 2 on the rear, and those are columns. So you'll see in some of the renderings how those columns, they're very slender and they're integrated into the design. But what it does is it helps us reduce the amount of work that some of these structural members need to do to support that roof. So we're able to use thinner structural members for those roof beams or roof joists by being able to support it towards the end of these former cantilevers. But on the interior of the building, really everything is very much the same. There's some slight shifts to some of the program, but I mean slight as in a few feet, just to be able to fit the new geometry without some of these curves, with a very centralized clear story in the center. It was a little bit offset before, but now we've very much centralized it in the middle, so we could keep very similar spans to a lot of these different structural members. So the distance from the exterior wall to the edge of the skylight is the same as it is, or the clear story is the same on the north, the south, the east, and the west. So you get a lot of efficiency in some of these repetitive elements, but no one will really see that repetition because it's something more of a structural engineer would notice. But the program itself, it's still the 100-person meeting room. We're still keeping the program in the same places. We've reduced some of the sliding doors, or at least we had some tracking bifolding doors previously, and we've changed them to more traditional double doors, but you'll still get large openings, so you can connect places like that central clear story area to the 100-person meeting room, or from the 100-person meeting room to the exterior. You can still have that nice connection between the two, with just a different way of achieving that. Any questions so far? Great, we'll get into the renderings now. So from the exterior, this is a slightly different view than the last time, but I think that it's still very much the same standpoint or same viewpoint. So you can start to see there's still a lot of glazing on the exterior, but we have reduced it in some areas which it wasn't as necessary before. So we could achieve some cost savings there. We reduced the height of the ceiling by 1.5 feet, which won't be significant when you step inside the building at all. It's still a 10-foot ceiling, which is a very tall ceiling for public spaces. And especially once you make it into the clear story area, that's a much taller space. So really have that arrival moment once you make it inside. But we're still maintaining that bench that wraps around the building, but it's in very particular areas now. We're keeping it around both of the front entrance and the rear entrance. And you can see these columns that are integrated in the structure itself. So we think that it is reminiscent of some of these public buildings that have these columns for strength, and also the front porch idea of thinking about this library as being something that is this front porch that's welcoming. Anyone can come and have a seat down on that bench in the front and take a load off or meet their friends, read a book outside, and you have this protection of the roof in front of you. You can even see from the way that the sun is hitting the sidewalk here, how good of a job that roof is doing by protecting all of this glazing and providing a nice shaded space to sit down underneath the roof. The rear, we've moved the camera angle a little bit in this view as well, but we're still trying to show that outdoor story time area, provide a lot of emphasis on that connection between the children's room and then also the juvenile area, so you can come outside very easily for outdoor story time. We've reduced the amount of hardscape, as I mentioned back here, but there's nice softscape areas for you to be able to sit down and have those outdoor reading zones. And this is the north side again, so you're going to have nice shade on this side without having to worry about the glaring sun or overhanging roofs as much. There still is some protected area right when you walk outside these doors, but it won't be as necessary on this side for some. From the interior, again, I think that this view is still very similar to the last design. What we've done in some areas, we've picked certain areas where we could reduce or remove some of the glazing. So in this case, we've taken the east and the west facades of the clear story and replaced them with solid panels. So we could remove some of the glazing there, capture some cost savings. We've been thinking about the materiality of this ceiling and how it can change from acoustical tile to gypsum in some areas that's painted. We're using a lot of the same materials as in the last round and very similar layout, as I was saying before. And then last, from the exterior at night. So we still have this lantern effect, creating this warm, welcoming space, something that feels low and integrated, or at least feels like it can integrate into the landscape, allowing the trees to come over it and feel like it is embedded within the architecture of the context in the area, but also can stand out when it's glowing at night. That is the last of the rendering slides. So take any questions or thoughts or comments that you guys have.
It's good.
Like I said at the last meeting, the changes that you made were so light that we couldn't see the changes. So I think the building looks fantastic. I think Clint is gonna be proud of their library.
Good.
Very
Clear
happy to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Megan. I was just gonna say, I love it. And I think it's got some, I mean, not really exactly, but a little connection to what our high school looks like, what Clinton High. It's kind of got a, that feature of the top. It's more to be reminiscent of like a schoolhouse top, but that what you're calling is it the bird? I'm sorry, I forgot
Clear
what word
story.
you're using, but like the aerial part.
Yeah.
There we go.
Clear
I don't know,
story.
and maybe no one else sees that, but I think it's kind of, so I think it ties in really well with the the architect looking modern enough, but yet not too modern for the downtown area. So I think it's lovely.
Thanks, Megan. That's nice to hear. I think it's always nice when public buildings have some relationship to each other. So a public high school
Absolutely.
and a public library, that's really nice to know.
Absolutely.
Great.
And the columns certainly don't detract from anything. Help save money and that, to me, adds an added aesthetic feature.
Yeah, it gives us some more dimension, I think.
They'll also provide us with an opportunity of getting the water off the roof.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing, I said at the meeting, I just don't like columns, but you know, it does. I mean, it does look nice and it gives extra support. Only thing I'm worried about is the kids writing "I was here." You know, because a lot of times they like to write stuff on columns. I don't know what it's about kids and the fascination with I'm writing my name on this column. That is, and that's my only concern with a column. But I mean, it looks great.
Well, we could go ahead and pre-wrap the columns with like names and words all over it. So
It's already there. You don't have
at least you can go ahead and pick out what words would be on there already.
fantastic.
Well, that's great. We're excited to keep moving. So we
Yeah.
want to try to keep us on schedule as much as we possibly can and get this building built.
Yes.
Now, what was the material for, the exterior?
So we're looking at this could be a good view, or this one here too. So we're looking at it's called a fiber cement panel. So it can look like a lot of different materials because it's a synthetic material. So it's something that's man-made, but it's very good at weathering storms. It's very long-lasting, and it can have an appearance of natural stone. So I think that's what we're looking for, is to try to not spend the money of a natural stone, but have the appearance of something that looks natural. And especially have something that has the long life characteristics of a fiber cement panel or something like that. Because if we were to use something that was natural like wood, it wouldn't quite have the same lifespan before it needs to be replaced.
Yeah, and this would be a probably more of a painted product too, Justin, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's a coating that they put on it, but and then the roof would be a standing seam metal roof.
Yeah. You can see it in this image here as well.
Did you guys consider stucco at all? Or eaves?
It's, something that we talked about that just because of the budget concern. And that's just a caveat with all of this, the VE items we proposed. So after this next round of design development, we're going to get another round of cost estimates too. And when those come back, we'll have to start making those kind of decisions about materiality and where we can save costs. So, nothing's off the table completely, but we want to preserve this sort of look as much as possible, of course. So we'll do everything we can. There may be other creative ways to save money elsewhere to be able to preserve, kind of these looks too. That's the stuff we'll have to kind of get through as we get further down the road with it.
So the next step will be DDs then?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So with this rendering, am I okay now to go to my county manager with this? So we are within budget, so I can actually show him where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't say we're within budget. I would say we're within striking distance. It's a better term to put it. It's just hard to know what the budget's doing these days. We're making our educated guess based on kind of historical knowledge and recent projects, but the market is the market. So once you send it out to bid, who knows? But at
But-
least we feel like we're comfortable, we're comfortable, we're not being, we're not being, irresponsible with kind of where this design is. We feel like this is, certainly within the realm of kind of where we need to try to land from a design standpoint. We've made a lot of, modifications to get us a lot closer to that number.
And the further along the design that we make it, the more accurate the price will be. Not only because it's a more detailed design, but it's closer to when you'll actually be purchasing the materials. So we'll have more confidence that those prices are accurate.
Right.
Awesome. Any other questions? I'm sorry.
Renita, let us know if whoever you're speaking to, if you're speaking to a local newspaper or someone in the town council or anything like that, if you need specific images, just let us know and we can make sure that we give you high resolution images for whatever the needs are, maybe.
Okay, well, I'm gonna send our county administrator an email tonight. So I can kind of show him where we're at, and
Mhm.
then we can have a meeting, me and Mr. Hicks can have a meeting together so that we can talk. If I need some higher resolution stuff, I'll let you know, because after that meeting, that's when I'm gonna ask him, did he want me to present something to the county council? Because I really want us to go ahead and start kind of moving.
Yeah.
And letting people know that it's really gonna happen, because some people don't think it's gonna happen. So we need to start letting the town know something is about to happen.
So that everyone
Yeah,
knows
this-
those. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Megan.
No, I was just gonna say real quick, because I told Renita this, that yeah, as soon as she can make a presentation, and pictures would be awesome, because there's apparently someone posting on Facebook that it's not happening, the county has run out of money, and like this, so a friend of my mom's was talking to her, and my mom tried to convince her. Nothing could convince this person because they had read it on Facebook, and you know how things go. But
Mhm.
the quicker we can, I mean, if we had
Yeah.
drawings, then we could really let people know that it's happening.
Yeah, I think the renderings would be certainly enough to get people excited for sure.
100%.
Right, so I'll let y'all know, because like I said, tonight I'm gonna be sending Mr. Hicks this information, and hopefully he'll have a meeting with me sometime this week. So then he can tell me where he wants me to go next, so I can start pushing this stuff out in the world.
Yeah, just let us know. We certainly are here to help and provide information if it helps, with whatever formal press releases or whatever you guys want to issue.
Awesome.
Get the
Great.
word out there that these naming opportunities are available.
Right.
Giant your name here all over the building.
For a check of $100,000.
Uh-huh,
Put your name all over the building.
exactly.
That could be, it could be the columns, like you were saying.
Yep, any questions? Oh, this is a short meeting.
Hey, short and sweet.
All right.
So we want it done yesterday.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Everything looks great.
Yeah, thank you. You did a fantastic.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
I just had to get over them columns, but it is what it is.
It makes you feel better. Back when I went to school, they didn't just carve in the columns, they carved in the desks, the seats, and the
Oh,
tables. too.
I'm gonna be standing outside with the kids. Don't you put your name on this column.
Well, great, everyone. Well, we certainly appreciate all of the feedback and helpful conversation, along the way to get us here. So it's been a really fun process to get to this point. And we look forward to the next chapter of this project.
So for the next chapter of this project, once I talk to Mr. Hicks, what is the next step after that? That presenting to the county and the city, what is the next step?
So as Justin just kind of pulled up the overall schedule, so we will be pretty much moving into the green piece that you see there, the design development. So, but some of these timelines may have shifted even a little bit more.
It's true, yeah. So I haven't updated this since last time we spoke, but the elements are all there.
Yeah, the time frame. So, around, 7 weeks or so is kind of what we were plugging in for this next phase. So once we got kind of kicked off officially, which after today, it sounds like we've got a comfort level with everyone on the committee that, we can move forward with the next phase of the project. So that's our goal, is over the next couple of months to kind of work through and get some more details on paper that we will then be able to provide to our cost estimator to give us some more detailed numbers that we can react to and see how we're tracking on the budget side as well. Because we're a very important piece of this. We want to make sure we're still tracking that budget piece of it. So that's what this next phase is really all about, letting us do, is kind of work through some more of these details and then get another budget. And then after that, once we kind of get that number back, we'll talk through, the budget. If we're still on track, then we'll keep on developing the drawings up, for the next couple of months after that, to get to a point where you guys can do a final review, and then we can wrap up the drawings for bidding and permitting. After the bid is awarded and the contractor selected, then we can kind of go into the permitting process. So that's sort of the big picture at this point from here.
You think it'd be worthwhile for us all to get together mid-November, Tripp and Justin? Or premature to set anything yet?
Probably wouldn't set anything just yet, but we can certainly, I think, at the end of the DDs, if we want to, well, obviously, once we get this second cost estimate, we'll probably want to get together on that. But even in the meantime, as we're doing the DDs, we may come up with some questions and be able to send you guys things for review. I don't know if we need a formal, full committee meeting for all of these things that may come up during the actual design development process. But I think at the end of this design development, we can certainly look at doing a full kind of committee review. And then in between, have smaller sort of conversations with Renita or whoever else needed to be involved from the committee, if there's specific items that anyone is concerned about or wanted to be a part of.
Certainly. We could do that via Zoom.
That's right. That's right.
Last time, yeah.
So, but let us kind of get our heads into it and kind of roll into that next phase a little bit. And once we get into there for, in a few weeks, we'll probably know a little bit more about where we're heading and what we're getting into here. Because right now, what's going to happen is we're actually going to take and actually make this a real kind of building model that we're going to use for our construction documents. So that's where all the heavy detailing and all of that stuff starts to happen. So that's where the real time gets spent, kind of putting everything together, because we'll get into, finish selections and specifications and all those kind of things that go into these projects, and understanding really how this thing is going to get built. Because right now it's just sort of like these look realistic, but it's basically a glorified sketch. But it's a really nice looking sketch. But we've got to make it into something real that a contractor can actually build from, which creates a lot of pages and documents and drawings and specifications. Fun stuff. I hope some of that made sense.
It did.
Absolutely.
Well, I think, if you guys don't have any other questions.
Make a motion, we adjourn. All in favor? See you next time.
Bye.
All
Great seeing
right.
you all. Have a
Thanks
nice
so
night.
much. Y'all have a great evening.
You too.
All right.
Okay, stop recording.